Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to talk about a powerful truth that can change the way you see fear. Fear never disappears completely. Even the strongest people feel fear. The difference is not that they are fearless. The difference is that they do not run from it. They face it. They move forward despite it. In this video, we will learn powerful lessons on how to understand fear and use it to grow stronger. Lesson 1. Fear is natural, not a weakness. The first and most important truth is this. Fear is natural. Many people believe that feeling fear means they are weak. They think strong people do not feel fear. But this is not true. Every human being feels fear. Fear is part of your mind. It is a natural response to uncertainty, risk, or challenge. Even the strongest and most successful people feel fear. They feel it before making big decisions. They feel it before taking risks. They feel it when stepping out of their comfort zone. The difference is not the absence of fear. The difference is how they respond to it. For example, imagine you are about to do something new. Your mind may start creating thoughts. What if I fail? What if I make a mistake? This is fear. It is your mind trying to protect you. But protection is not always progress. If you always listen to fear, you will stay in your comfort zone. And growth never happens in comfort. Another important truth is that fear often appears when something matters. If something is important to you, your mind becomes alert. It wants to avoid failure. This creates fear. So fear is not always a bad sign. Sometimes it is a sign that you are stepping into something meaningful. Another powerful point is that fear becomes a problem only when you run from it. When you avoid fear, it grows stronger. The more you avoid something, the more powerful it becomes in your mind. But when you face fear, it becomes smaller. For example, if you are afraid of speaking, avoiding speaking will increase your fear. But if you practice speaking, your fear slowly reduces. Another important benefit of understanding fear is self-acceptance. When you accept that fear is normal, you stop judging yourself. You stop thinking, "Why am I like this?" Instead, you think, "This is natural. I can handle it." This creates confidence. Another powerful truth is that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action despite fear. Strong people are not fearless. They feel fear, but they do not stop. They move forward. Another important point is that fear can guide you. It can show you where you need to grow. If something scares you, it may be an area where you need to improve. Facing that fear can lead to growth. The truth is simple. Fear is not your enemy. It is part of your journey. You do not need to remove fear. You need to understand it. When you accept fear as natural, you stop running from it. And when you stop running, you start growing. That is the first and most powerful step to becoming mentally strong. Lesson 2. Strong people act despite fear. The second powerful truth is this. Strong people do not wait for fear to disappear. They act despite it. Many people believe they must feel confident before taking action. They think, "When I feel ready, I will start. When my fear is gone, I will try." But this moment rarely comes. If you wait for fear to disappear, you will wait forever. Because fear does not leave completely. Strong people understand this. They do not wait for perfect confidence. They take action even when they feel fear. For example, imagine you want to try something new. Maybe speaking in English, starting a new project, or taking a risk. Your mind may say, "What if I fail? What if I make a mistake?" This creates hesitation. If you listen to this voice, you will stop. But strong people think differently. They say, yes, I feel fear, but I will still try. This decision changes everything. Another important truth is that action reduces fear. When you stay still, fear grows. When you think too much, fear becomes stronger. But when you take action, fear begins to shrink. For example, before doing something, fear feels big. But once you start, you realize it is not as difficult as you imagined. This is because your mind was creating a bigger picture than reality. Action breaks that illusion. Another powerful point is that confidence comes after action, not before. Many people think confidence is needed first, but in reality, confidence is built through experience. Each time you act despite fear, you gain experience. And each experience builds confidence. This creates a cycle. Action to experience to confidence to more action. This is how strong people grow. Another important lesson is starting small. You do not need to take big steps immediately. Start with small actions. If you are afraid of speaking, start with simple sentences. If you are afraid of trying something new, start with small attempts. Small actions reduce pressure and make it easier to begin. Another powerful benefit of acting despite fear is mental strength. Every time you face fear, you train your mind. You prove to yourself that you can handle discomfort. This builds resilience. Another important truth is that fear often lies. It shows the worst-case scenario. It makes things look bigger than they are. But reality is often much simpler. When you act, you see the truth, and the fear loses its power. Another powerful point is that avoiding fear creates regret. When you do not act, you may feel safe for a moment, but later you regret not trying. You think, what if I had tried? But when you act, even if you fail, you gain learning. You move forward. Another important benefit is freedom. When you act despite fear, you are not controlled by your mind. You take control. You decide your actions. This creates freedom. Another powerful truth is that strong people are not fearless. They feel fear just like everyone else. But they've trained themselves to move forward. They do not let fear stop them. The truth is simple. Fear will always be there. But your response to fear decides your life. If you run from it, you stay stuck. If you face it, you grow. When you learn to act despite fear, you become stronger. You build confidence, and you move closer to your goals. That is how strong people win. Not by removing fear, but by moving forward with it. Lesson 3. Fear grows when you avoid it. The third powerful truth is this. Fear grows when you avoid it. Many people believe that avoiding fear will make them feel safe. And in the short term, it does. When you avoid something that scares you, you feel temporary relief. You feel comfortable. But this comfort is dangerous. Because while you feel safe for a moment, your fear becomes stronger. For example, imagine you are afraid of speaking in front of others. The first time, you avoid it. You feel relief. The second time, you avoid it again. Again, you feel comfortable. But slowly, something changes. Your fear becomes bigger. Now, even the idea of speaking makes you nervous. This is how fear grows. Avoidance feeds fear. Another important truth is that your mind learns from your actions. When you avoid something, your brain thinks, this must be dangerous. So it increases fear to protect you. This makes the fear stronger next time. But when you face fear, your mind learns something different. It realizes, this is not as dangerous as I thought. This reduces fear. Another powerful point is that avoidance limits your life. Every time you avoid something because of fear, you close a door, you miss opportunities, you stop growing, you stay in your comfort zone. But growth never happens in comfort. Another important truth is that fear creates a cycle. Fear leads to avoidance, leads to temporary relief, leads to more fear. This cycle keeps repeating. And over time, fear becomes stronger and stronger. The only way to break this cycle is to face fear. Another powerful method is gradual exposure. You do not need to face your biggest fear all at once. Start small. If you are afraid of speaking, start by speaking a few sentences. Then slowly increase. Step by step, your fear reduces. Another important benefit of facing fear is confidence. Each time you face something difficult, you prove to yourself that you can handle it. This builds confidence. You start believing in yourself. Another powerful truth is that fear is often bigger in your mind than in reality. Your imagination creates worst-case scenarios. But when you face the situation, you realize it is not as bad as you thought. This reduces fear. Another important lesson is that avoidance creates regret. When you avoid something important, you may feel safe now. But later, you regret not trying. You think about missed opportunities. But when you face fear, even if you fail, you learn. You grow. Another powerful benefit is freedom. When you stop avoiding fear, you stop being controlled by it. You take control of your actions. You decide what to do. This creates freedom. Another important point is that discomfort is temporary. When you face fear, you may feel uncomfortable for a short time. But that discomfort passes, and in return, you gain strength. The truth is simple. Avoiding fear makes it stronger. Facing fear makes it weaker. If you keep running, fear will chase you. But if you stop and face it, fear will begin to disappear. When you understand this, you stop avoiding. You start facing. And that is when real growth begins. Lesson 4. Fear is a signal for growth. The fourth powerful truth is this. Fear is not only something to fight, it is a signal for growth. Many people see fear as a problem. They think fear is stopping them. They believe fear is something negative that should not exist. But the truth is different. Fear often appears when you are about to grow. It shows up when you step outside your comfort zone. It appears when you try something new, something uncertain, or something important. For example, imagine you want to improve your life. You want to speak better, earn more, or do something meaningful. When you take the first step, your mind creates fear. You feel nervous. You feel unsure. But this does not mean you should stop. It means you are moving in the right direction. Another important truth is that comfort and growth cannot exist together. When you stay comfortable, you feel safe. But you do not improve. When you step into growth, you feel uncomfortable. And that discomfort often comes in the form of fear. So fear is not always a danger. Sometimes it is a sign that you are growing. Another powerful point is that fear highlights your limits. It shows you where you feel weak. It shows you what you are avoiding. And these areas are exactly where you need to improve. For example, if you feel fear while speaking, it shows that communication is an area for growth. If you feel fear while taking risks, it shows that you need to build confidence. Fear becomes a guide. Another important lesson is changing your perspective. Instead of thinking, I am scared, so I should stop, you can think, I am scared, so this is important. This small shift changes your mindset. You stop seeing fear as a barrier. You start seeing it as an opportunity. Another powerful benefit of this thinking is motivation. When you understand that fear means growth, you feel encouraged. You become curious instead of afraid. You start asking, what can I learn from this? Another important truth is that every strong person has gone through fear. They did not become strong because they avoided fear. They became strong because they faced it again and again. Each time they faced fear, they grew. Each time they grew, fear became smaller. Another powerful point is that growth feels uncomfortable at first. Learning something new is not easy. Trying something different is not easy. But this discomfort is temporary, and the growth you gain is permanent. Another important lesson is to take action even when you feel fear. Do not wait for fear to go away. Use it as a signal to move forward. Take small steps. Learn as you go. This builds confidence. Another powerful benefit is self-discovery. When you face fear, you discover your strength. You realize that you are capable of more than you thought. This builds belief in yourself. Another important truth is that fear becomes weaker when you move toward it. When you run away, it grows. But when you move closer, it loses power. The truth is simple. Fear is not always your enemy. Sometimes it is your guide. It shows you where you need to grow. It pushes you out of comfort. It challenges you to become stronger. When you understand this, you stop running from fear. You start using it. And that is when fear becomes your tool for growth instead of a barrier. Lesson 5. Fear lives in the mind, not in reality. The fifth powerful truth is this. Most fear lives in your mind, not in reality. Many people feel afraid not because something bad is actually happening, but because their mind is imagining what could happen. Fear is often based on what-if thoughts. What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if things go wrong? These thoughts feel real. They create anxiety. They make your heart beat faster. But the truth is, they are only possibilities, not reality. For example, imagine you are about to try something new. Before you even start, your mind creates different negative scenarios. You imagine failure. You imagine embarrassment. You imagine the worst outcome. Because of this, you feel fear. But none of these things have actually happened. They exist only in your imagination. This is how the mind creates fear. Another important truth is that your brain is designed to protect you. It tries to keep you safe by predicting danger. But sometimes it exaggerates. It treats small risks like big threats. This is why fear often feels stronger than it actually is. Another powerful point is that imagination can make fear bigger than reality. When you think about something again and again, your mind creates a detailed picture. That picture feels real. But when you actually face the situation, you often realize, it was not as bad as I thought. This happens because reality is usually simpler than your imagination. Another important lesson is to question your fear. When you feel afraid, ask yourself, is this really happening right now? Or is this just in my mind? Most of the time, you will realize that it is just a thought. This awareness reduces fear. Another powerful method is focusing on facts. Instead of thinking about what might happen, focus on what is happening. For example, right now, you are safe. Right now, nothing bad is happening. This brings your mind back to reality. Another important benefit of this understanding is calmness. When you realize that fear is often imagined, you stop reacting strongly. You feel more in control. You think more clearly. Another powerful truth is that action brings clarity. When you stay in your mind, fear grows. But when you take action, you see the real situation. This breaks the illusion. Another important point is that your thoughts are not always true. Just because you think something does not mean it will happen. Your mind creates many ideas, but not all of them are real. Learning to separate thoughts from reality is very important. Another powerful benefit is confidence. When you understand that fear is often exaggerated, you become more willing to try. You take action. You explore new opportunities. This builds confidence. Another important lesson is to control your imagination. Your imagination is powerful. It can create fear, but it can also create confidence. Instead of imagining failure, you can imagine success. Instead of thinking about problems, you can think about solutions. This changes your mindset. The truth is simple. Fear often feels real, but it is created by your thoughts. When you stay in your mind, fear grows. When you face reality, fear becomes smaller. When you learn to question your thoughts and focus on what is real, you take control of your fear. And once you control your mind, fear loses its power over you. Lesson 6. Use fear as energy, not a barrier. The sixth powerful truth is this. Fear is not only something to manage, it is something you can use. Most people see fear as a barrier. They feel fear and immediately stop. They think, I am scared, so I should not do this. But strong people think differently. They see fear as energy. They use it to move forward. For example, when you feel fear, your body becomes alert. Your heart beats faster. Your mind becomes more focused. This is not weakness. This is energy. Your body is preparing you to face a challenge. But if you run away, this energy is wasted. If you move forward, this energy becomes powerful. Another important truth is that fear and excitement feel very similar. Both create energy. Both make your heart beat faster. The difference is how you interpret it. If you say, I am scared, you feel weak. If you say, I am excited, you feel strong. This small shift changes your mindset. Another powerful method is changing your response to fear. Instead of thinking, I cannot do this because I'm afraid, you can think, I feel fear, so this is important. I will use this energy. This gives you control. Another important benefit of using fear as energy is increased focus. When you are afraid, your mind becomes alert. You pay more attention. You become more aware. This can improve your performance. Another powerful point is that fear pushes you to prepare. When you feel fear, you take things seriously. You practice more. You think carefully. This improves your results. Another important lesson is to take immediate action. When you feel fear, do not wait too long. If you wait, your mind will create more negative thoughts. But if you act quickly, you use that energy. This reduces overthinking. Another powerful benefit is confidence. Each time you use fear as energy and take action, you prove to yourself that you are capable. This builds confidence. You begin to trust yourself. Another important truth is that fear can guide your effort. It shows you where to focus. It shows you what matters. This helps you grow. Another powerful point is that avoiding fear wastes potential. If you let fear stop you, you lose opportunities. But if you use fear, you gain experience. You move forward. Another important lesson is that fear is temporary. The energy you feel does not last forever. But what you do with it can create long-term results. Another powerful benefit is mental strength. When you learn to use fear instead of running from it, your mind becomes stronger. You stop being controlled by your emotions. You start controlling them. The truth is simple. Fear is not only a barrier, it is also a source of energy. If you run from it, it stops you. If you use it, it pushes you forward. When you learn to use fear as energy, you turn a weakness into strength. And that is how strong people grow. They do not eliminate fear. They transform it into power. Lesson 7. Fear never disappears. You just become stronger. The final and most powerful truth is this: fear never disappears completely. You just become stronger. Many people believe that one day they will reach a point where they feel no fear at all. They think, one day I will be fearless. One day I will feel completely confident. But this is not how life works. No matter how strong you become, fear will still appear. Even the most successful, confident, and powerful people feel fear. They feel it before big decisions. They feel it before taking risks. They feel it when facing new challenges. The difference is not that they have no fear. The difference is that they have trained themselves to handle it. For example, think about the first time you tried something new. It felt difficult. It felt uncomfortable. You were afraid. But after doing it again and again, it became easier. The fear did not disappear completely, but your ability to handle it improved. This is how growth works. Another important truth is that new levels bring new fears. When you grow, you face bigger challenges. And with bigger challenges come new fears. This is natural. If you are not feeling fear, it may mean you are not growing. Another powerful point is that strength is built through experience. Every time you face fear and move forward, you become stronger. Your mind learns that you can handle discomfort. This builds resilience. Over time, situations that once felt scary become normal. Another important lesson is that confidence is not about removing fear. It is about trusting yourself. It is about knowing that even if you feel fear, you can still act. This belief creates true confidence. Another powerful benefit of this understanding is freedom. When you stop waiting for fear to disappear, you stop delaying your life. You take action now. You move forward now. You do not wait for perfect feelings. Another important truth is that fear becomes familiar. When you face it regularly, it stops feeling like a big problem. It becomes part of your journey. You stop being surprised by it. You accept it. Another powerful point is that strong people have a different mindset. They do not say, "I am afraid, so I will stop." They say, "I am afraid, but I will still move forward." This mindset changes everything. Another important benefit is long-term growth. When you stop running from fear, you open yourself to opportunities. You try new things. You learn new skills. You improve your life. Another powerful truth is that courage is a habit. The more you act despite fear, the easier it becomes. You train your mind to move forward. This creates a strong personality. Another important lesson is to stop waiting for perfect confidence. There is no perfect moment. There is no moment when fear is completely gone. The right time is now. The truth is simple. Fear is a part of life. It will always exist, but it does not have to control you. When you become stronger, fear loses its power. It no longer stops you. It no longer limits you. Instead, it becomes something you can handle. That is how strong people live. They do not wait for fear to disappear. They grow stronger than their fear. And when you become stronger than your fear, nothing can stop you from moving forward. Fear will always be part of your life, but it does not have to control your life. The difference between an average person and a strong person is not fear. The difference is action. Strong people feel fear, but they move forward anyway. They do not wait for perfect confidence. They create confidence through action. So stop waiting, stop running, start facing. Because the moment you face your fear, you begin to grow. And the moment you grow, your fear loses its power. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful and life-changing content. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.